I've had so much fun with it. The day the Earth blew up, a Looney Tunes movie. I enjoyed it. I've got Eric, who voiced Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, and Candy, who voices Petunia. So my question is for you, Candy. It was kind of caught me off guard. Is Petunia new to Looney Tunes?
Petunia, just so you know, has been around since the 1940s, but she was really more of a Betty Boop. Oh, I wanna hana, lama, lama. Like a little showgirl, and she's come a long way because now she's a
Yeah.
scientist, and they have reimagined her. She appeared a little bit in Duck Dodgers. It was not me that did it, but she was really not really part of the team. She was just kind of a girlfriend,
Mhm.
and she's become less of a sidekick and more of a character.
She's
She
a
both.
PWD, a pig with a degree.
I like that. I like that. Eric, let's talk about you doing both voices, Daffy Duck and Porky Pig.
Well, this is really my therapy, you see. I have spent a lot of time in Los Angeles traffic, the 405 for that matter.
And getting to just really is it goes back to Mel Blanc. I defer to him because he was the original performer that laid these tracks down for us to study and enjoy 90 years later. And I think that's what makes it work. If the wheel isn't broke, why fix it? So he shaped comedy not just for me but for Candy, for everyone that enjoys animation, and it goes beyond what you see on screen. It's just what you hear musically in your ear, and that's kind of what drives my performance. Is what would Mel do, always in any situation.
Speaking of Mel, I'm old enough to remember. So let's talk about Mel just a little bit. How much studying, how much research did you do, Eric?
Well, he had a very deep timbre to his natural voice, so I started smoking cartons of cigarettes every day. It was really in fashion to only smoke unfiltered cigarettes in the 40s. Yes.
No, just kidding. Kids, don't listen to Erik.
No, I would search for these clips of him in the booth. I think it was during the 60s. So it was way past the 40s. And now they were being syndicated for black and white TV. And they had like the Bugs Bunny show. And they would record new bumpers, new interstitials that would introduce the old shorts. And I found the reels on some of the original, when they started making it for box sets on DVD. And I found them. And you would hear Mel Blanc in the booth going, okay, this is Porky in space to be sped up at 40 RPMs, and then he would do the voice, and not a lot of people know that for both Daffy and Porky were sped up. So his natural timbre for Porky would be like, "Gee, Bugs, what are we gonna watch today?" And then they would speed that up, and it would sound like this, almost like a DJ scratching a record. And then for Daffy, he would perform his voice as Sylvester, but just change the attitude. So he would be like, instead of "I'm gonna eat that bird if it's the last thing I do," he would be, "You're despicable." And then they would speed that up, and I must have editors in my hair because that's how I perform it. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is I have a lot of time on my hands.
I'm with you on this.
I have dust on my Tinder profile. That's what I'm saying.
Candy, what was it like working?
Yeah.
I'm a very lonely bird.
Candy, how do you put up with Eric? How do you work with this guy?
Just say to me, if my dad were alive, he would be 108. I have much older brothers and sisters, and this is the sense of humor that I love and I miss, and I'm used to this. And if you let Erik riff, he will just keep going and going, but he goes down, suffice it to say, the rabbit hole that you and I, and those of us raised on Looney Tunes, right, we go down the same rabbit hole. And there's a part of me, James, where I am like right behind him. Like I get, and I'm like, I know what the next joke, I know where he's going to go with this. And I know, and I love it because that's how we get along, is that I know. And you let people breathe, and you let people do this, I will always tell everybody, I know what I did in this film, but more importantly, I know what he did in this film. And I'm happy to be along. And I do love what I do. I am really honored to have kind of found a niche in these Looney Tune voices. I started my career with Warner Brothers. And I was saying to Erik earlier that I worked with Mel Blanc in 1988, because that's when I began. And he was very frail and very ill. But I also worked with Vincent Price. And I see this, who had a wicked sense of humor, by the way. We did The Raven, Nevermore, and all my characters screamed, which was Sweetie on Tiny Toons, was I screamed Nevermore as loud as I could, and he would be reading the poem, and then he'd stop and say, "Are you going to do it that loud?" And they kept all. And I want you to know, James, he walked in smoking an unfiltered cigarette attached to an oxygen machine.
Yeah.
Oh,
and when he walked in, I remember the voice director saying, "Don't worry, it's the oxygen machine isn't on." And I said, "It's not worrying me as much as the lit cigarette under the oxygen machine."
Oh my God.
And he came in and he was in a walker and he had the thing, and just a gentleman. But I thought, that is Looney Tunes.
That is
who we are. It's old Hollywood. It is we don't punch down. We're down, we're the bottom of the barrel. We're punching each other, and it's just it's fun. But yes, that's how I work with him, is that I believe on some level I get him. Like I get him.
You know, and speaking of fun, this movie is fun. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Erik, Candi, thank you both for so much for joining us on Morning Blend. And Candi, thank you for that insight on Vincent Price, because he's from St. Louis. Thank you.
I did not know that. I love St. Louis. We got to come see you.
See,
Oh, I'm ready.
People want to know. I mean, the movie's great, but I want to know what Vincent Price looks like. I love
Thanks, guys.
by the way.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks.
Thank you, James.